Welcome back to the race, the transfer rumour show, Daz. We haven't done this in about a week. There's been a lot going on. Players have signed for clubs, etc., etc. You're donning the Nigeria jersey, I believe. Am I right?
I'm on Nigeria. Yes, I am.
Yeah. Really know what to say about that, really. But people in the comments, we want to know this week what your favourite tea is. So let us know what your favourite tea is. Daz, what's your favourite tea?
It has to be Barry's. But it has to be Barry's Master of Bland. Bland? Blend.
Go for
Has
the
to be
master. Is it
the
bland?
master one.
He's
The
going for
master one. It has to be the master one. It's the black one. It's the best one. It's the most expensive one. It's the exclusive one. Any other ones, no, I'll give you a pass, a hall pass if you're Barry's.
I'm actually
I'm
also
wearing
going for
Barry's.
Barry's Daz, but I'm going for the old-fashioned red label.
No, of course you would. Of course
I
you'd go
would,
with
wouldn't I?
original.
I would. The
Yeah,
Cork
you
City
would.
fans will like us, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they have Barry's down there, I believe. But
Yeah. Well,
I think they're the Barry's. No, no.
Cork
If
City.
you,
I'm
Lions,
glad you didn't say
no.
Lions, though.
Ah, my parents drink Lions. It's okay. It's all
Or
right. I'll
Earl
drink if I have
Grey.
to. Earl Grey. Oh, you're killing me there. No,
Seriously, if
there's another
someone said
one.
Earl Grey, if you said Earl
Yeah,
Grey, I
yeah.
would have stopped the video.
Or I've got a good one too. Lipton. Ugh.
Nah, not
Ugh. It's
having it.
like drinking sink water.
Not having it at all.
Horrible.
So, guys, in the comments, let us know. Daz goes for the fancy one, but I also go for Barry's, the
Has
red
to be.
label. So, on to the show, I suppose, Daz. This is what the people came for, really. And you're going to rate these transfer rumours from 1 to 10. And I don't know if you would have heard of them all or not, but we'll jump straight into it. And one involving Drogheda United and potentially Shelbourne. Now, Shelbourne be fairly quiet, and I think a lot of the reason that is because the European campaign, which ends next week against Crystal Palace. No, it doesn't end. Sorry, their home match. That's their last home
Yeah.
game, I should say, against Crystal Palace in Tallaght Stadium. But a lot of their players are still contracted until the end of that campaign. So you're not going to see many outs, and there hasn't been any ins yet either. So Sean Boyd to Drogheda United. How do you see that one? Drogheda United clearly in the market for a striker. Connor Carty's been one they've been linked to it as well. Boydie is a presence, a real presence in this league, a real leader, can hold up the ball as a nuisance to centre halves, but has had a lot of injury problems in the last couple of seasons in particular. Would you see him moving on from Shelbourne? Another injury hit season for Sean Boyd last season.
Yeah, unfortunately for Sean Boyd, I actually think Shelburne would probably want to get him out to bring somebody else in. He has been constantly in and out of that team. Unfortunately, he's a tall man, but made out of glass at times. He just seems to can't get a break in the last while anyway. But when he is playing and when he is on fire, he is so good. He is so good. He's a defender's nightmare. He's dominant in the air. He's old fashioned. He's strong. He's tall. He's powerful. Like it's great to have that and mix it up with other smaller, more tidier players who are fast paced, agile. It's a good mix, but like Bitey, like you just can't stay fit. And I think Sherburne, because of where they've been at in the last 2 years, they'll be wanting to have players who are going to be available for them, and they can't really take too many passengers. And I think looking at the transfer itself does it benefit Drogheda, I think, massively. Um, I think he'd be a huge player for them if they can keep him fit and keep him well. I think he would really improve their team, their overall team, because just with how Drogheda set up, trying to put balls in and stuff like that, he'd be very good at that, or holding the ball up to bring other players into play. He'd really suit Drogheda. I think he'd be a great sign for them. It's realistic too. Obviously, Drogheda's not a million miles away from Dublin. Um, does Bidey want to go though? European football, a really good team. Joey O'Brien, it's a tough one. It's hard for him, to think if he wants to go or not, especially if he had a long campaign with Shelbourne in Europe. Can draw the matches wages. It's also kind of questionable. It's hard to know what that might be incentivized kind of a contract.
Well, they have brought
Um,
in Brandon Cavan and Mark Doyle, so obviously you'd
there's a
imagine
bit of
they'd be
money
on
there.
half
Yeah.
decent wages, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Drogheda.
you would think so. Is like I don't know, actually don't know this one. I think it is though. Is Boyd's contract up then at the end of their campaign?
I didn't think it was, to be honest with you,
Yeah, I was
personally.
thinking that
I
too.
don't
So
think it is. I'm not 100% sure. I've checked it, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't think it is. But to leave, perhaps, who knows? Like, and maybe if Shelburne um, want to cut their losses, maybe that's a potential thing as well, isn't it? With the injuries, perhaps.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that could be a massive factor in it. They might just let him go for free or a very low fee, just to get him moved on. It could be a good move for him. I'm going to put it as a 6 out of 10. I think it's quite reasonable to happen. I think out of all the teams around, if he was going to stay around the Dublin area, he probably would. It's not going to go to Bowes. Shamrock Rovers probably don't wouldn't be in the market for him. Pats don't really need someone like that. So I think the next best option then you're looking at Dundalk or Drogheda. So you pitch Drogheda to me today, so I'm going to put them as a 6 out of 10. Quite boring, but I think it would work. I think it'd be a great move for him and Drogheda.
Yeah, so Sean Boyd to drop it a 6 out of 10, says Daz as he drinks some of that Masters Barry's. Next one
Yeah.
up is, we're staying with Shelburne as such, and that is Sean Gannon, linked with a move back to Dundalk FC,
Oh.
where he won it all, literally, didn't he?
Wow.
Very successful there. First of all, the most successful, the most decorated player in League of Ireland football history, but also he's had more appearances in Europe than any other League of Ireland player. And we talk about Dundalk and teams coming up from the first division, and like he has a lifetime of experience in this league, doesn't he? And not just
Yeah.
experience of winning and being successful in
Winning,
this
yeah.
league.
He's won
Um,
something every year.
are you trying to
Every
say if he
year.
moves to Dundalk to win the league next year?
I don't know, they might win the Leinster Senior Cup either.
They don't need him to
Yeah.
do that. But yeah, it could be an interesting one. And he obviously knows the club very well, which is another plus as well when you're signing a player. And it wouldn't be the first time that Dundalk have signed players that have played for them before. I think Keith Ward played for them 3 different spells, didn't he? They've
Yeah.
obviously brought in Keith Buckley as well, which is interesting. So Gannon would add a wealth of experience and
Oh
a
yeah.
bit of quality at the back as well, to be fair. How would you see that one? Do you think that's possible? He's not exactly getting in every week at Shelburne last season, was he?
No, no, he wasn't. I kind of thought he would have played a bit more, but it wasn't to be. But he was still in and around the squad, and he did play, like, so he wasn't completely out of the team. He did play, but
Mm.
I think firstly he's one of my all-time favorite players. I think a lot of people in the league would say that, putting rivalries aside, you're going to push on Gannon in a right back in your League of Ireland fantasy team. I think nearly all day you're going to put him in just for what he's done, what he's
Oh yeah, if you
achieved in the
had you've
league.
had a team, say, I don't know, for the last, even if you look, say, the last 10 years, he
Yeah,
walks
you're
in
going to
that right
put him
back
in.
position. Yeah.
Yeah, like nobody else really rivals him for it. Like nobody does. He's made that right back position in the League of Ireland in terms of being a player who's decorated in history of what they've done his own.
And
He's
he's been a really
absolutely
good player down through the years.
yeah.
Obviously not as quick as he used to be, but he was a
No,
really good
but
player.
I remember there about 5 or 6 or 7 years ago he was linked strongly to Burnley, and I believe he went on trial and stuff, and it just didn't work out. So he was obviously that good at one stage. I think he's a fantastic player.
Mm.
In regards to this actual transfer, firstly, I think if you're Dundalk, get excited. That would be absolutely amazing. That would possibly be signing up the season for Dundalk. I think it'd be very solid having him in your back, him as a leader in the dressing room, him as someone who loves the club, who loves the fans love him. I think it's a perfect match to bring back that Dundalk side because they need serious strengthening if they're going to try and divide the bottom two places. So they really need to bring in individuals with leadership skills, motivational skills, who want to be there for the cause. He ticks all those boxes all day long. And if anyone in the league for Dundalk that you're going to want to bring in, you're going to want to try and bring him in. Um, I think if he comes in, he walks into that Dundalk side. I think he's first name on the team sheet almost every week, I would say. So I think in terms of him playing, he will play. I really wasn't expecting you to show this one out. I kind of thought Ganny would stay with Shelburne because he's doing quite well with their the team's doing quite well. They don't really need him too much of a reshuffle, but he strikes me as a player who wants to play, and he hasn't played as much as he would like to play with Shells, and he will play with Dundalk. Um, yeah, Jesus, it's kind of hard to put a number on it because again, it's just so hard to think about because of what Shelburne are doing. They're in Europe. He's playing for Joey O'Brien. Does he want to leave all that and go to a team that's going to be struggling possibly most weeks, not getting too many wins, being possibly at the bottom end of the table? That's no disrespect to Dundalk. It's kind of just where I see them at the minute in terms of putting them up against other teams. So he'd be going up against it every week. But I think if he was, he'll add to the team. In terms of putting a number on it, I'm going to put it at a 7 out of 10. I think he was going to go anywhere. he's going to go to Dundalk. I don't think he's going to be much money motivated at this stage. I don't see any other teams in the league throwing him serious money to come into them than what they would have 2 or 3 years ago. So I think for them reasons, Dundalk possibly offer him a good wage and bring him in, and he'd be an amazing signing for them. And he really strengthened them. So a 7 out of 10. I think if he's going to go anywhere, if he is to leave Shelbourne, I think he's going to go back to Dundalk.
Interesting. So Sean Gannon to Dundalk, 7 out of 10, says, Daz, next one up is another League of Ireland, so stalwart really, Greg Bolger, who was at Cork City, of course, and a possible move to their rivals, literally just down the road, Cove Ramblers. How would you see that one?
Oh, wow. Yeah,
obviously, Greg Bolger's won a lot of league titles and cups, and with clubs like Cork City themselves, Shamrock Rovers, St Patrick's Athletic. But would Cork be willing to let him go to Cove Ramblers? Is he surplus to requirements at Turner's Cross is the question, because him going to Cove would obviously bring a lot of experience to that Cove side, and could be an interesting one. He wouldn't have to move either, would he? Yeah, so that's another point. I
think, firstly, I think that would be a great sign for Cove, and Cove have made a few really good signings this season so far. I remember sending a few to you going, God, look who they signed again now this week. They've made a few good ones. I can't think off the top of my head who, but I do remember looking at one or two going, wow. Look, Cove are a team on the up. They have their new owners, they have a bit of money to spend. They are looking for players who are going to try and push them and drive them out of Division 1, and have a really fighting chance to get into the Premier League. In terms of it happening, I'm going to put it as a 3 out of 10.
He's out of contract, though. I'll just throw that out
there.
So.
I don't think he goes to Cove. I think it's very unlikely.
Do you think he leaves Cork?
No, I think Cork will sign him back. I think he'll sign a contract with her. He'd be great to have around the dressing room for one more season, I think. Get back up with the Premier Division and leave as a winner. Maybe then he'll move on to another team. You're grinning at me like you know something I don't know, but I'm putting it low. I don't think he goes to the rivals. I don't think he leaves Cork. He's everything you want in Division 1 as a player, as a leader, as a person, someone who's been there, done it. He's won leagues, he's won cups, he's played in Europe, he's vastly experienced. Why would you let a player like that go unless the relationship with the club has broken down? It's the only reason I could see him going. So I don't see him going, and I'm going to put it as a 3 out of 10. And if he does go, I don't think he goes to Cove.
Okay, interesting. Greg Bolger to Cove Ramblers, 3 out of 10, says Daz. Next up, we're going to, I suppose, St Patrick's leg player, and he's come up a few times in the last couple of windows, I'd say, but still stayed at the Saints and out of contract. Jay McClelland, again, utility player, has been playing left back, midfield, left wing, all kinds of positions. Seems to be the player that, if you need a position filled, he plays that position, literally. But Derry City could be going for him, and you can't really say from a Derry point of view that, you'd be signing him to slot in a certain position, I think, because maybe they're looking at him in that way as well. So how would you see that one?
I think he's actually a smashing player. Like, he's someone who'll always give you a 6 out of 10 every week, no matter what position he's put in, goals, left back, up front. He can do a job anywhere, I'd say. And who doesn't want to have a player like that in your team? You have an injury crisis, he's going to give you that solid 6 out of 10. You could put him in there, and you're not having to risk a kid who might not be up to the standard. You're not having to risk and putting somebody else in the backs who just don't track back or can't tackle or don't have a defensive head in them. Or even in midfield, he can make a pass if he has to. He can put a tackle in. He's a very good decision maker. He doesn't do too much stupid things in the middle of the field. And why would you want to let that kind of a player go? And I don't think you should be letting someone like that go, because I can remember Pats had an injury crisis in central midfield, and he slotted back in there and had 2 centre backs playing. I can't remember who it was. It's McClelland, Jay and somebody else. Can't remember
last year, he has. He's come into the midfield a few times, and lately, by the end of the season, he's playing left back ahead of Anton Breslin. Initially a winger, really, at the club and at UCD. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But he seems to be the player that seems to be slotting into positions. If you, as you say, if you have an injury crisis or if someone falls out of favour, Jay McClelland seems to step into that position.
I think he's a smashing player. He's someone I'd love him both. I think he's a really good player. And for all them reasons, why would Pats let him go? Why would you let him go? Because if anything,
maybe from Pat's point of view, Daz, Kavanagh left obviously, but they've a lot of players out of contract, and they probably feel that to free up some wages. They're not in Europe to get in a few players. They may have to let those players go. That could be a thing, perhaps.
Yeah, it could be, but I don't think he's one of the top earners at the team. I
No.
think if you're not, I think if you're not in Europe and you're Pats, I think you can
Mm.
afford to keep him at the club.
Mm.
I think if he wants to leave, you could probably still afford to pay him a bit more and not break the bank and not be paying a silly wage and to keep him.
Mm.
I'd always look at transfers like if so and so goes, who do you bring in to replace them? Who do you bring in to replace Jay McClelland who can play any position? You're not replacing him. You're bringing in somebody else to fill a position in the club, whether it be a centre back, a centre midfielder, or a left back. But you're not bringing in someone who could play all of them positions.
Mm.
Well, I think it's something very valuable to have in the team. It's not something that every team has. Now, that could be just me putting my own
Mm.
perspective in. Like I always like to have a player like that at the club if you can. Like Flores has done it at both centre back, left midfield, left back, behind the striker once or twice, central mid. He got man of the match in numerous positions. Why wouldn't want him to go because of that? Because I know he can do a job anywhere. So I don't see if you're a Pats management, why would you want him to go? Unless the player comes to you, wants to go, unless Derry puts in an offers money, and unless his head's turned with the chance of being on twice the money and playing in Europe, that could be a huge factor in it if that is the case. But bottom line, I don't think he leaves Pats. I think he stays, and I think he'll have a great season again for him. And if he does go, Pat Derry, you're getting a great player. But 4 out of 10 for me, I think he stays.
Jay McClelland to Derry City 4 out of 10 says, staying with St. Pat's. And this guy was on a couple of weeks ago, actually, linked with another Dublin rival, and that was Ronan Boyce. He was linked with Bowes, if I remember, but Pat's may have emerged in the conversation. How do you see that one? He's out of contract, and again, I said it a few weeks ago, but I'll say it again. He seems like he's not wanted by Tiernan Lynch. He's out of contract. As far as I know, Derry haven't offered him a contract. If they have, it probably isn't a massive terms. It's just the fact that, last season he was in and out of the team, and they played a couple of games anyway. Adam O'Reilly played in the position that he was playing in, and I just got that impression personally that Tiernan Lynch, for whatever reason, didn't fancy him basically. But St. Patrick's Athletic in the market for a right back as well as Bowes. How would you see that fitting in?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I do think Pats could potentially offer him more money than Bowes could. Just to have the financial backing there. I do think Bowes have a ceiling that they can't really go over at the minute, just because of who we are. Like having not having really investors as such, we have to be sensible with the transfers and who we bring in, the money we pay. I know I say that, and we've wasted a lot of money in the last 4 years, but we won't get into that. But I do think, though, personally, as a player, if you're going to be offered Bowes, well, you're probably going to play in Europe or Pats, where there's huge expectations to get into Europe, huge expectations to fight for the league, and a huge expectation to do much, much better than last season. I think I don't. Why would you go to Pats then? Over that, like if you're going to go to Dublin, go to Bowes, go somewhere you're going to play, go somewhere you're going to play in Europe. What like I don't see him going to Pats. But the only other speculate thing is Pats. They really could offer him 500-600 quid more than Bowes, and that's the reality of it. People argue this to me, saying that's not the case. It is the case. Bowes can't offer money other clubs offer, and they don't. And you always say to me, yes, they do. They don't. I don't think they do. They don't. And like the thing is though with the player, he's out. He's our favourite. He's not staying with Derry.
No,
What
it doesn't seem
he's
to be
not.
the case that he's.
No,
You
he's
think he
not.
would have
And
signed a contract by now if that's the case as well.
that's it. But he's a
Mm.
player I can see signing of someone in the window quite late because he seems like he's assessing options,
Mm.
and like a few other clubs could come in for him too that could be even outside of Dublin and be looking at him and wanting to bring him in. But I think if he goes, he's going to go to a Dublin club, and I still think there's more of a chance of him going to Bowes than Pats. So I think it's supposed to be the first show ever I've given quite low ratings to every single transfer. But I'm going to put this one at a 5 out of 10. It's
5
very
out of 10.
50-50. Very 50-50. I think Bowes edges that a little bit more if he's going to go somewhere. But yeah, I do think he'd be a good signing and he'd get into both teams.
Very interesting stuff. So Ronan Boyce, St. Patrick's like 5 out of 10 says Daz. Yeah, Daz said there that it's probably one of the lowest ratings is given on a show ever. So let us know what you
Watch
think.
now. They'll all go through.
Yeah, that's what we're laughing at. Yeah, with your lowest one, I think it was 3 out of 10. That's definitely going through. Let us know what you think in the comments, guys. What are you rating out of 10? What do you think of the links? And would you take any of these players at your club? Subscribe to the channel. And thanks again, Daz. Thank you.
See you, bud.